So let me ask you a real simple question for people who are not as knowledgeable. Give us your definition of the metaverse.
Sure. So the metaverse is an infrastructure. And is an infrastructure that is not here yet, is similar to a moonshot, what has been declared by Kennedy in the 60s that said that we want to go to the moon. We decided to build a metaverse, and the metaverse is going to be an infrastructure that will enable millions of people to connect in using immersive technologies, but also 2D screens, but interacting with the content in a three-dimensional way instead of a two-dimensional way as we do right now with normal web. And at the same time, being able to have a synchronous events and conversation with millions of other users around the world. They will be able to work, they will be able to entertain themselves, they will be able to meet friends and family in these virtual worlds, but also this infrastructure will allow the digital content to enter into a real world. So it will be a portal for us to get into the digital world, but also a portal for the digital content to enter the real world. Interestingly enough, also we're going to be able to bring our identity from one platform to the other. And note, I'm saying metaverse platforms and not metaverses, because the metaverse is one, and transact with global cryptocurrencies that will be widely available and used on the platform, on the different platforms. Also, one thing is important to mention, and I believe that is particularly important for the title of your podcast. A lot of people it's confusing the metaverse for Web3. The metaverse can be Web3, but can also not be Web3. Web3 is the definition of the decentralized internet that has been created by the co-founder of Ethereum in 2014 to define an internet that is completely working on decentralized technologies. There are companies and there are platforms right now that are operating in the metaverse business, so using technologies that are widely recognized as part of this infrastructure that we are creating right now, that is basically the evolution of the internet as we know it. Like, for example, Fortnite, or like, for example, Roblox, or like, for example, Meta Horizon, that are completely centralized, that are not using blockchain technologies, and probably they will not use blockchain technologies for a while. But let's not forget that there are other companies that, because of local regulation or because of industry regulation or for legislation or for legacy systems, they're not going to be able to use blockchain system or blockchain technology anytime soon. So it's important to understand that in a infrastructure that will gather millions of users and thousands of platforms, there will be a coexistence between centralized technologies and decentralized technologies for quite a few times.
So let me dig in on this, because this is something I ask myself. And when people ask, I'm biased. I like to think that, the metaverse does depend on Web3. And clearly the biggest metaverses right now are Roblox and Fortnite and things like that. But at the end of the day, primarily they're games. That's it. They are games that are an entire world, and you can build and you can socialize and things like that. So what's your definition of, where does Web3 sort of pivot on this? Is it important that, Web3 is the part of the metaverse, or is it not at all? If Web3 died tomorrow, is the metaverse still going to come? Or does it really provide an important portion of what the metaverse needs to become? Because that's kind of where I see it.
Sure. So I'm a very pragmatic person. And I see the use of technology where it's needed and when enables, and when it's used for the unique characteristics that it brings. Okay, so there are use cases that need decentralized technologies. There are use cases that take advantage of decentralized technologies, like smart contracts, digital identity, cryptocurrencies, you name it. And this is important. There are some use cases that without decentralized technologies couldn't exist. However, it's also important to understand that some of the platforms, the metaverse platforms, and not metaverses, because the metaverse is one, that are nowadays most successful, both from a consumer perspective, but also from an enterprise perspective, Think about Arthur or Microsoft Mesh. Think about the HoloLens ecosystem and so on. They're not decentralized. You mentioned Fortnite and Roblox. Those are making big bucks. They're not decentralized. Probably Apple is going to launch their own ecosystem, and I'm pretty sure that is very unlikely that it's going to be decentralized. We need to be realist here. There are some companies that will never renounce to their corporate structure. They will never be a DAO. They will never empower the users with full control of the platform itself. But we also have to be very much aware that our players that are coming from nothing and having an incredible success overnight, see OpenAI, disrupting mega giants that have been in the business for years, like for example Google, that lost billions in evaluation just because OpenAI launched ChatGPT overnight. So let's understand that we are literally scratching the surface here. We are in an era of digital primitives for everything that comes with decentralized technologies. We are kind of in a skeuomorphic era, so we are kind of emulating the kind of use case that were possible with previous technologies and medium before. Think about smart contracts, think about cryptocurrencies. Obviously, there are digital versions and decentralized version of assets and use cases that are available in an analog way. But we are waiting for those use cases that are hugely transformational, that take full advantage of all the different bits and pieces that compose this infrastructure that is the metaverse. The truly transformational use cases with decentralized technologies, I think that will arrive probably in the next 3 to 5 years. We are literally scratching the surface right now. We are exploring. Yes. And those use cases that will be emerging, they call emergent use case because they emerge from this kind of waves that are created by this plethora of thousands of millions of use cases that are created on the market. And they're emergent because they have a huge, massive success. And at that point, we're going to have the Ubers, the Tinders, we're going to have the Shazams and so on. But right now, we are literally exploring where is the real value of those use cases. And there are some use cases that have really good value in decentralized technologies. The other day I was talking about real estate, contracts for real estate. Right now, for example, real estate companies are not making any money from second-hand house market, and it's an asset that appreciate with time. Imagine what it would mean to connect a house with a digital twin and connect all the documents that are related to the property and the sale of the house and the insurance of the house bills, all the different the energy bills and the utility bills and so on, all connected to one single NFT. How easy would be and frictionless would be the transaction from one owner to another. This not only would create a turbo boosted economy in real estate that will not have to wait those 2, 3, 4 months for each transaction to happen. And if you purchase a house, you know how painful it is to buy a house. It takes long and there are so many paper to compile and so on. But also will reduce the kind of overhead that is put on top of a purchase of a house from governments just because of bureaucracy. So there are some use cases that could be potentially truly transformational, both for industries and for consumers. The fact is that not many countries and not many institutions are ready to embrace all of this change, but there are some countries that started to look into it.